Hello everyone, we are the Casual Ramblers. I'm Jack Richardson, joined by my co-host Will Taylor.
Hello.
Good to be back. It's actually been a while. I think this is our first episode in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
isn't
it is. Yeah, a bit busy.
Yeah, but we're back better than ever, and we'll be definitely, straight into this one, eager to get in about it.
Absolutely.
Starting off as usual, in case you've forgotten, it is the results roundup. So,
Absolutely.
Any games that caught your eye?
Yeah, to be honest, obviously we had as we spoke about in episode 2, I think it was the dreaded international break.
Yeah,
which we always seem to record one of our episodes just after which doesn't help us loads. But obviously, still a good weekend in the Football League and non-league. Still had League 1, 2 and the National League.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the one sort of game caught my eye in the Championship. League 1, sorry, not the Championship. No Championship football for international break, was there? In League 1, Bradford picking up a draw with Peterborough, which was actually quite a good point for them.
It was, actually, because Bradford are really struggling, rock bottom of the league.
But Peterborough in the playoffs, it's not.
At the moment, yeah, and it's a big point. They're playing tonight, aren't they? They've got Ultra in the FA Cup in a replay game. Do they need it, actually? Do they actually?
Yeah, well, I was
do they need a cup run?
No, I was just about to say, that is surely a massive potential for an upset. I know Aldershot aren't doing well in National League, which I'm sure we'll touch upon in just a moment. But that's Bradford really struggling. I know they picked up a good point. That's a good opportunity for an upset, surely.
Well, that's the thing. Bradford are a much better side. Well, you
on
so.
Paper,
yeah,
absolutely.
You should think so. But at the same time, if they do win, it's almost like a massive boost of confidence for them and the fans. When had this fixture happened 2 years ago, maybe it wouldn't have been.
No.
But it's
bigger than
because I don't think they need the extra games. You know, they are struggling. But at the same time, they do need a win.
Yeah, they do. They need to pick up.
That's the Aldershot, to be honest. They're struggling
in the National League. Yeah, I mean, just touching on that. Obviously, there was a full thing of National League football this weekend. So just before before we go into it, it's really, there's been a lot of that sort of stuff. Obviously, BT Sport have the right to National League football, and without going directly into the games, we will talk about that in a minute. It's all quite good, isn't it? The games I'm watching on there, I'm really enjoying.
There's some good ones to watch. Yeah, it is enjoyable, and I think that's a good advertisement for non-league football.
Absolutely, it's
you don't have to watch the sort of glamour of the top leagues, and they're still there when it's in the national break, which is perfect.
Exactly. In the nicest possible way to the National League. It's something to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose. Just going back to Bradford quickly. I mean, a lot of people, even our age, we don't remember Bradford being in the top flight of English football. I certainly don't, anyway. But still, it wasn't all that long ago that they were there. And certainly not that long ago they were in the Championship.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
even they was...
Can they afford... I mean, it was what? Probably about 10-ish years ago they were in the League Cup final.
Yeah, and...
How much
I do remember growing up, they were sort of one of the bigger
They're a big
sides
team,
that went in the
absolutely.
top flight. It was one of those when you got them on if they went on a cup run, one of those teams you drew in the cup, they are a good side, and it was always that case of our ex-Premier League side. They are dangerous, but now it's just sort of...
They've got good support,
but League One, and I just cannot imagine them being in the lowest tier of.
No, you can, but you can't, can you? You can't imagine them being in League Two, and it doesn't seem right. But then we've seen it; it's so easy when you're in League Two. That what I see every year in League Two, it's so easy to get pulled into that relegation battle.
Yeah,
teams get pulled into it all the time. I remember a few years ago, Bristol Rovers were, I think it was 6 points clear with 3 of the relegation zone, three games to go, and then they came down to the conference. They got relegated.
They did.
It was absolutely unbelievable,
And I think, as you said, it was not really in our memories that they were a top flight side, Bradford. But sort of in my time growing up and in the past sort of 5 years, they've always been to me one of those clubs that should be floating between League One and Championship. And now,
if not higher, yeah, I'd say higher than that personally,
but now it's it's looking like League One, League Two, and I don't think they're one of those clubs. They're definitely bigger than that.
No, exactly. I mean, you look at there's teams like, we always I seem to mention these every week, so apologies, but we spoke about Accrington over the last few weeks. They're not, again. They look to me like a club that are floating between League One and
League Two. They're a definite side like that. At least in my recent memory.
But you can't say that Bradford are the same size as them.
No, not at all.
Bradford get 10 times fans Accrington get at some games, So I mean, but there you go. I suppose it's fans and history get you absolutely nothing in football. It's about results, and Bradford aren't getting them at the minute.
No, not at all, no.
Just slipping down again into League Two. One of the only Welsh side in League Two, Newport County, absolutely flying towards the top of the league, aren't they?
Yeah, a third now, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Which is automatic promotion in that.
Yeah, league. It is, but which is also incredible considering their -2 goal difference.
Yeah.
I don't think you see that.
That's unheard of.
You don't see a third place team in any division with a negative goal difference. I'm not sure how they've pulled it off, but they have.
It was -4 before this weekend, obviously.
Yeah, well, it would have been, a 2-0 win.
Over Colchester. But I mean, again, we spoke about those teams that fluctuate. For a long time, it's probably a little bit still before my memory, Newport were a non-league club.
Yeah.
But now they seem very consolidated in the Football League, don't they? They are a Football League club now, you'd say, with all the infrastructure, everything that's gone on there.
I wouldn't expect them to go back down.
No, you wouldn't. No, exactly. I mean, obviously, and we just spoke about the FA Cup with Bradford. Big old draw they got, didn't they?
They got Wrexham.
Draw of the round, arguably.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt, yes. Sort of the Welsh derby.
Yeah, I mean a Welsh derby that hasn't been seen in many years.
It's not. Yeah, and it's people forget about it. It's not quite your Swansea.
They are obviously. It's South Wales and North Wales.
It's not.
But with 4 teams in Wales, including Wrexham, that are really noticed. Obviously, excluding the Welsh league. That's a huge game, isn't it? That's. And
I imagine both sets of fans will be absolutely buzzing with that.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will. But yeah, Rex. But obviously, best of luck to we love an underdog, and maybe Wrexham and Aldershot could both pull off something on behalf of non-league tonight.
Yeah, because it is. We've
obviously
seen
Wrexham later, but
a few non-league upsets in the first round.
Absolutely, nearly Hampton.
As in upsets to non-league sides not going through. There was a lot less than in previous years.
Yeah, I mean you were at Hampton, weren't you?
I was at the Hampton game, and again it was one of those. It was really close. They went 1-0 up, sort of full. They played with so much depth. Full credit to the fans. They were brilliant, even after the final whistle.
Yeah.
But it's just the Football League side are able to.
I mean, I can't. Obviously, not going
a lot more quality.
Not going off track too much, but I mean, obviously, I was watching that game. You were there. You just couldn't help but feel Oldham got exactly what they deserved.
Oh yeah, they battered them for 90 minutes.
Exactly.
The goal was a penalty for Hampton.
Yeah. It was a difficult one. Going into non-league, which you have touched upon a fair bit. Sunday showed the game of, for me, the game of the weekend. I know it doesn't 3-1 to Barnet. It doesn't look particularly, it doesn't catch your eye.
No, it's not. It's not as if it's like a massive.
But I tell you what, it was.
It was actually a good game.
It was. It was end to end. It was thrilling. Hartlepool went 1-0 up. Barnet scored the same fella scored 2 in 2 minutes, I think it was, and then proceeded to be stretchered off 10 minutes later with an injury. It was just crazy. That's
the National League.
Yeah, that is the National League for you.
It's like as we were saying earlier. If ever you needed an advertisement for, the National League and non-league.
I know we've just said that, but I do almost disagree with my own point, because it's the sort of, for me, having supported a team in that league, it's not one of those things where it's the sort of place you only still feel connected with the players, with the club. I can only imagine. Obviously, we've got the Richard Scudamore story, which we'll talk about in a lot of detail later on. But it's the only place where the money isn't as big as it is in the Premiership. Certainly nowhere near. So putting Barnet from London away at Hartlepool, the most northern possible team, on a Sunday evening kickoff, is that on? I know they've got a job to do. I understand that, but that's not.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it is such. With it being the National League, but with it still not being one of the professional leagues, it's like you still have these huge away days. But the clubs don't quite have the money to facilitate for that. No, I think there's still clubs, even in the National League, where they probably don't even have a coach. I think the players just make their own money.
That is the case with some, absolutely.
And I think as well, for some of the clubs that have come down from sort of League Two, it's not so much a problem. And some of the larger clubs in the league. But if you're a club coming up from the National League South or North, I don't really know how they definitely do struggle to. I think
the funny thing is I saw it last year. I'm sure, maybe I'm wrong. I can't say this for sure, but I think it was Dover Gateshead in Dover 12:30
That's such
kickoff.
a massive.
And
12:30 kickoff's an
that's just
absolute joke.
absolutely ridiculous, isn't it?
They couldn't be
Gates-
further apart.
Gateshead fans were setting off at about 5, 6 a.m, maybe even
If
earlier
not the
than
day
that. I think.
before.
Yeah. I think a lot did stay over, but then it just goes back to the argument we've had.
I'm
we've
sure
had time.
Gateshead, it's just so far north.
Fans are just so disconnected from it now, and that's just football, unfortunately. I think one last thing, not really part of the results roundup, because as we've previously said, we don't love going in to the Nations League and international football, as no one does. Can't look past obviously fantastic win for England on Sunday though.
It was massive, yeah, really big win. And that sends us through our group. We win our mini league.
I got to be totally honest with you now. I'd love to sit here and talk about how we're going to do in Portugal and what's going to happen. But I have absolutely no idea how it works. I don't know what's going to come of it. Maybe I think you get a trophy. I mean, maybe I'm not even sure about that. It's just I have absolutely no idea, and I don't think I'm the only person with that view.
I've said it plenty. I've said it plenty of times. The Nation League is great for the sort of the lower two tiers that it's been set into. Your teams like Gibraltar and like Liechtenstein, countries like this, because there is, for one of those sides, there is an automatic qualification to a tournament that I don't think they'd have ever been to.
Yeah, fair enough.
But for the top tier of sides that are...
But even then, they've got to win Group A to get there.
No, they've got to win...
They're not?
No,
that's what I mean.
So there's 4 places up for grabs in each league. So obviously the 4th league, you're going to get... So that means we're guaranteed a sort of a European minnow in the European Championships, but other than that, I don't really. Other than that, all of the sides that have, competed in the top, I'd say 2 leagues, they're going to get. They're going to get to Euros anyway.
Well, you'd hope. I mean, obviously without the odd surprise.
The thing for me now is, I obviously I want us to go over to Portugal and win it because.
It's a trophy, yeah, exactly. It's still a trophy.
And after sort of the heartache of the World Cup in the summer, it'd be brilliant.
Nice lift,
sort of
it would be a nice
tournament
lift,
afterwards. But at the same time, I kind of don't want that early automatic qualification because we're still going to have to go through.
We've got to build momentum.
We're still going to have to go through the qualification process, knowing we've already got the final reward. So how will we go? We need to get momentum before the Euros, and I just don't want it to go the wrong way. Where I don't think Southgate would make that poor decision, but I don't want them to look at it as if, we've already qualified, let's test every system we can and then lose any momentum.
Why wouldn't you? Why would you not?
And would the players put their...
No, if you have 10 games and you're already qualified, why are you going to spend those 10 games doing... I mean, other than to build momentum, which the players won't be into anyway, you're going to tinker with the system. You're going to think about what else you can do.
I can only imagine it, giving negative effects for the start of the Euros, personally. I mean,
if we win it, we've still got to go there and win it.
Only time will tell, but
I mean, it's not like the opposition is. I mean, with no disrespect, it's not.
Well, it's not the best, is it? What is it? Portugal, Switzerland are one of the sides. How they're technically the top 4 teams in Europe. I
cannot think of the other team off the top of my head. Netherlands, of course. Of course, they
down. But again, it's really. The fact that we can't even remember the 4 teams, it's not the greatest deal in the world.
No, it's absolutely not. But obviously, fair play to all those teams and fair play to England coming back against Croatia. I'm still
over the moon that we not only did we win, but we beat Croatia, who
absolutely
famously broke our hearts. So
I totally agree. But like I said, hopefully we do get a bit of momentum in the summer, but don't let our heads drop us. As we all know, that the European Championships and World Cup will always be the priority, and not the Nations League. Moving on to what was one of the biggest stories over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I'm just going to say the story, and I want to hear your opinion on it first, because so every single one of the Premier League clubs has been asked to give £250,000 to Richard Scudamore. Correct me if the pronunciation is wrong there. So he can have a £5 million payout to celebrate all he did for the Premier League and all the broadcasting rights he brought in. What do you think?
I'm not really sure how my feelings are with this one, because I think the immediate reaction is why, he's obviously had such a successful career anyway. Does he really need this sort of payout? The money could go elsewhere. But at the same time, he did so much to actually bring like the broadcasting rights in, and if you, in a way, the clubs are almost just paying back some of the money he helped to actually gain for them, you know. So I don't know. I think he is owed by them, but I can understand fans' frustrations, especially from
my frustrations. My frustrations
from like the lower
yeah
sides. I think it was like Newcastle were definitely one of the sides that initially objected to it.
Well, Mike Ashley would.
Well, yeah, I don't really. I understand the fans' frustrations, and like upon immediate reflection, yeah, it is. I don't think it is right, but I think at the same time, it's nothing against Scudamore. I don't think he should be slated for it. Because would you say no to that?
No, of course you wouldn't. Yeah. But my, I mean, just countering what you've said, I understand what you're saying and that he got a lot for them. I do get that, but I mean, without trying to turn around and, I mean, you've got clubs dying on their arse.
Yeah.
Across the Football League that literally have nothing. We've seen great clubs like Hereford's, turn into nothing. You know. That even as far back as 2002, Wimbledon was allowed to relocate and had to start from the beginning with absolutely no backing from the Football Association or any of the Premier League clubs. We just spoke about Bradford. You've got Blackpool who've got owners who are literally stripping them from top to bottom. You've got so many of these situations across English football where £5 million, even going past professional football, there's teams that can't afford to field, like Sunday League teams or Saturday League teams, that can't afford to field a team every week because they can't afford facilities, they can't afford a pitch, right?
Well, it happened with Blackpool as well.
My question to you with this is, right, should, obviously, like I said, you're not going to turn it down. Scudamore, he's on what? I'm just trying to think. I think I saw 1.2 million or something a year.
He's definitely a very rich man.
He's a very rich man. Why does he not turn around and say, all right, I've had my money, I've had my fun, fair enough, and I don't care what anyone says. The Premier League will look after him for as long as they absolutely have to. If he needs any money, I'm sure they'd be happy to give it to him for what he's done for them. Does he turn around, put his hands up, and say, "Look, thank you, thanks, but no thanks. Invest that into grassroots." Especially with the no sale of Wembley.
Well, yeah, that was definitely my initial reaction. It's like, this money can go into grassroots, and then you think, well, the Premier League clubs aren't going to do that because they want to continue to bridge the gap.
But if they have to, what I'm saying is, if they have to give it anyway, should he turn around and say
exactly that? Exactly, yeah. Because people were saying, obviously, the Premier League clubs won't do it, but he definitely can, and I think that's where it can make the difference. It can make the difference between Scudamore being slated or not, because if he comes out and says, as you said, actually, I don't need this.
But he doesn't. That's the thing. It's greed. And I know you're not going to turn down I wouldn't turn down £5 million tomorrow. No one would.
But he's already done so much. He's done so much good for the Premier League. Why can't he do it for the whole of English football?
All I'm thinking, right, is if you've got... I mean, many people would argue that he's killed the game. He's taken the game away from the fans. And he's driven ticket prices up. He's put... It's due to him that kickoffs are on at 4 o'clock on a Sunday, and it was due to him that Man City had to travel to Spurs at 8 o'clock on a Monday night, Manchester to London. You could argue not only that maybe it is actually what he owes to the fans to invest it back where it should be.
There's two sides to it, isn't there? Yeah, he's partly made it better because if the money wasn't in, some clubs wouldn't have the players that fans love. But then he's also made it harder for the fans. He's given them a better spectacle to watch, but he's made it harder for them to watch it. It's like,
well, what I've seen as well, and this is going off topic a little bit, but when Britain do eventually leave the European Union, there's rumours that there will only be a certain amount of foreign players left in the squads. That could drive the broadcasting rights down. And then what has he done? He's just... Do you see what I mean?
Made something for a few years.
Exactly.
But again, this is exactly where he could use that £5 million, invest it in the lower leagues where there's an abundance of English players. And for when...
That's what I'm trying to say.
For when that comes along, English players have had a better upbringing in terms of, like, in the football world.
That's what...
They could come into the Prem.
The thing is that it's... I can't remember which team, but I saw a banner and it was Scudamore 5, football 0 or something like that.
I did see that. That was a.
I can't remember where it was. It's going to do my head.
It was in the FA Cup, actually.
It was,
I think.
yeah.
And it was one of. I think it was one of the non-league sides. I can't remember who it was.
But
I did see that.
Regardless, anyway, I think they've hit the nail on the head, because why are we? At the end of the day, the money that they're getting, yes, it's from broadcasting, but the only reason teams are able to broadcast is because of what? Fans. The only money that clubs get is because of fans.
It's such a vicious circle, and unfortunately, it's actually always fans that get left out.
Yeah, exactly. The people that are funding this, the people that want to see this, that want to see the football, that want to be related to the football, are the people that, the bottom line, are paying for it. Do you see what I mean? How you can the bottom line for me is you've got clubs that are dying. The FA, and I know you can't be giving out money to clubs, right? Do you know? I saw a documentary actually about the war, and it's about Corinthian Casuals, first ever football team, right? They're only amateur. They're in the Bostic League, I think.
Yeah, they play just outside Kingston.
Yeah. And they've got their. And they nearly went bust last year. They were the first football team. They took football to Brazil. Yeah. Hence the Brazilian team called Corinthians, right? And they nearly died last year.
Famous amateur side. Yeah.
They're still amateur. Yeah. They're the only team. They don't play their team.
It's funny you said. I've actually put a bit of research into Corinthians recently, and their players do get very small fees, but it's nothing compared to. Yeah. They're still basically amateur, but it's nothing.
It's like travelling fees, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's a little bit extra, which is fair enough. But they're
an amateur side.
Essentially,
they're considered amateur.
They are considered an amateur side,
right?
And I think that should be applauded, and they don't get any recognition.
But what I'm saying, right? So these clubs can put 250 in their pocket, and I'm not being funny. That's pennies to every single Premier League club. Yeah. That's nothing. If they spend that on a player, you're thinking he's not very good. They've only spent £250,000 on him, right? So they've spent right. There's a club. I literally saw it before they went out to Brazil last year to play the actual Corinthians with BT Sport. That they were literally days away from folding as a club because they couldn't afford the rent of the stadium.
Yeah.
So why is the oldest football club that's got the most heritage, that brought football to the world? That they, like you said, you probably know this. They were on a ship to Brazil.
Yeah.
The war started. They turned around and went back, and they all died in the line of duty. All the players there. So why is that club not being saved by the FA? Why is that club potentially dying? The oldest, the most traditional football club, and why is Scudamore getting $5 million?
It's just another piece of evidence towards the gap between the top and bottom is getting so much bigger. And the top doesn't want to do anything to stop it, and which is terrible. I don't think because I think when it does eventually happen, when more and more clubs start turning into dust, they're going to miss it. Like it's year upon year, it's advertised with the FA Cup. When there's a non-league side making their way into the first round, that's what's applauded. Yeah, absolutely. They still don't want to give much more recognition than, you get your TV slot for the next 2 hours. Exactly. That'll do you and your 30 grand. And then that's it. Then until next year. I think they do deserve a lot more from the people at the top.
I totally agree, and I think that's probably what they should get. Also, you spoke about the top leagues, the gap getting bigger. The gap could get irreversibly big with the formation, and it has just been actually, although it's been ruled out, which I say in quotation marks. The idea of a European Super League, documents apparently that revealed that. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to say anything. I want to hear what you think of it first.
I think everyone's initial reaction was that it was terrible and it was going to ruin football. I actually thought the opposite. I thought the clubs that
you're controversial tonight.
Yeah, the clubs from England that would be involved in that. They want to bridge the gap anyway. You sort of look at the top
six.
Yeah, it's the top six. They want it to be just them. They want to make the gap between 6th and 7th like massive. If they're gone, I think it actually improves English football. I think because it is sad for the fans of those clubs. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, and that is terrible. But the thing is with those clubs is no matter where they are, they've got fans everywhere. Yeah. And what that then brings along is, I think, a more competitive, English football.
Fairer, definitely fairer.
Yeah, as you say, fairer. I think it's sad, saying it because there is real fans of the clubs that would be involved in it. But I think on the whole, it would definitely make. I think it's easy to say when you're a supporter of a club that wouldn't be anywhere near it. It's obviously you'd say, oh yeah, well for it, get rid of those clubs. But I don't know. That's just how I see it anyway. I don't know about you. It's probably the opposite.
I mean, I know I get what you're saying because you are right with the top six of the top six. There's no breaking it. There's no getting into it. That's it. And the only thing we saw was a freak season with Leicester. But with a Super League, you're totally dispelling the possibility of that. And the whole magic of football for me is that anything can happen. You know, like for example, you're wearing your Farnborough t-shirt, which no one else can see, but you're wearing your Farnborough t-shirt. Farnborough could, over the next 7 years, rise up every single division of English football and win the Premiership, and that's a possibility. It's a very, very slim possibility.
But it's something that
could happen. If that European Super League breaks away. And then how does it work? The teams get relegated? The teams get promoted to it?
Well, see, that's the thing.
If 1 year Bournemouth come top of what would become the Premier League, do they end up in the Super League?
I don't think there's been enough sort of information about it or discussion.
They have ruled out, obviously.
Because my thoughts are based on very limited information.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I think it's anything that's said by anyone should be taken with a pinch of salt. But yeah, you're right. I have no idea how it would work. As you said, do teams get relegated, or even for that matter, like if it's a team from say 2 German teams and a Spanish team finish in the bottom 3, does that then mean that the side at the top of the then English Premier League can't go up, or does that mean there'll be less German sides in it? How does it? How is it?
Obviously,
or is it going to be the same bunch of teams year upon year, and it's just going to create this, this whole breakaway league where they're just going to get stronger and richer, and if you finish last, or so be it, you get paid for it, something like that, or is there actually going to be genuine?
That's all I can really think. I mean, like I said, that the Juventus and UEFA chief executive has ruled it out. He said there's no, but he's not going to admit to it, is he?
Well, I think a lot of the clubs probably would be.
It's something that will just happen that no one will know about it, and the people who deserve to know the first, which is the fans, are the people that will know the last.
It's always the case. It
is always the case, and it certainly will be the case if it happens this time.
I don't want it to happen, but it's only a matter of time before it does go drastically wrong, and football. It's got realise that fans. It's nothing about the fans.
But the thing is, it's got to the stage now where you talk about like the comparison in clubs, the way that fans go. The way that in terms of wealth, Man United must be sat there. I know they're not doing fantastic. Or Man City certainly must be sat there with all their money, thinking, "What are we doing playing Burnley? What we're doing going to Burnley, you have, do you know what I mean? You have very little, they still have loads of money in comparison to, but in terms of the Premier League, or why are we going away to Cardiff? They've got to be thinking, what are we doing? What is this?
Yeah, and I actually read something earlier, I think last year, or in the most recent release of it, Man United were the most profitable club in the world, which is incredible because they basically haven't done anything for a long time. They're struggling massively this season, and you're right. There probably is people within the club going, "Hang on a minute, we've earned over £1 billion in the past.
Why are we going to Cardiff? Who've grossed 250?
Why are we going 2-0 down away at Newcastle when we could be in this luxurious league where we
play at Bayern Munich? Yeah, exactly.
And at least if we lose, then who cares?
I mean, do you want to be going to Burnley, or do you want your away days to be Munich, Turin, Milan? Madrid, Barcelona.
Yeah.
Barcelona want to break away from La Liga anyway. So, even though they come out and say it's ruled out, it's never been spoken about, I don't believe that for a second. No. I don't believe it's never been spoken about. Because although they might have ruled it out for now, it was a German newspaper who reported it, and there is no smoke without fire. There has to have been. You can't make something like that up.
Yeah.
So, where it goes from here, I'm not totally sure, but hopefully, I hope it doesn't happen.
I do hope it doesn't, and despite what I said, I don't want anything to change really.
No, and you don't want the fans that have been going for years to not be able to go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the bottom line, isn't it? Yeah. Moving away from football, we've been very football heavy for the last half hour. But, just very, very briefly, obviously. Big congrats to I can't pronounce his first name. Mr. Welsh Price.
Yeah, Gerwyn Price.
Gerwyn Price. We'll go with.
We'll go with Gerwyn.
Gerwyn Price.
I'll say how it's
Please correct us in the comments.
Yeah, please. If anyone is Welsh, please.
We are very sorry. Yeah. But obviously beat Gary Anderson in the Grand Slam of Darts final.
Which is a big win actually, because I think Gary Anderson is a fantastic darts player.
He is. But it was. I mean, it was the.
It wasn't without.
No, I mean it wasn't. But fair play to Price, because he won 8 of the last 10 legs.
Yeah.
To steal it away from Anderson, which not a lot of people saw coming. Exactly.
Anderson is no.
He's one of the most successful darts players, certainly of our time. First, also Price, very impressive and very happy. Sorry about that.
If you did just say something really loud, we'd drop the mic. But,
sorry about that.
Hopefully you didn't. If you're wearing earphones, we do apologise.
Sorry about that. What I was going to say is he was the first person to lift the Eric Bristow trophy, which he said personally meant a lot to him, which it must have done because it was certainly a very emotional thing. A lot of songs about Eric Bristow there as well. The only thing I did want to ask you about, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of complaints that darts isn't classed as an Olympic sport, because it is a sport. Even though the players might not necessarily look like athletes, it's a sport. There's a lot of skill, there's a lot of things that go into it. But then did the final, where Price and Anderson obviously got into a bit of a push and a shove, refused to shake hands with each other, does that capitulate why it's not an Olympic sport? Because there's not any gamesmanship, or certainly not to the extent that there is in other sports.
I think that is what it is, definitely. In terms of the actual physical.
I mean, do you class it as a sport? That's the bottom line.
I do, yeah.
Reluctantly, by the sounds.
Sort of reluctantly, yeah. But when you look at it, archery is an Olympic sport, and that's essentially no different to darts, really, is it?
It's aim and throw. That's the difference between
I think it can be considered a sport, but
Absolutely.
The reason that I don't think it'll be in the Olympics anytime soon is to do with the whole stigma surrounding sort of the gamesmanship, also fan contribution. That's sort of what makes darts. A lot of people, they go to watch darts not to see, they're interested in the skill of the player, but once you've sort of reached the elite, there's not there's the margin.
The golfing class isn't massive. I know what you're saying, but that's the thing. Because
and everyone goes, let's go to the darts to be a good laugh.
It's not a piss up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not. Let's go and witness something great. It's let's go have a good laugh. Yeah. So I think the Olympics wouldn't allow for that to happen.
No.
Because I've been to football at the Olympics and it's nothing like
same as a football game.
Yeah. So it does the Olympics. I mean, but does sort of eradicate any fan contribution.
You did just touch on it though about the gamesmanship. You've got fans that when Price won, he was getting booed because of everything that had happened with.
Yeah, and also because I think Anderson is just the more popular player.
He is, but should a player ever be booed for winning a trophy?
Not at all.
If a team you'd never expect a team to go to Wembley and their away fans to stay and boo the winners of the FA Cup, would you? You see what I mean?
It doesn't happen. They just leave.
Yeah, you just leave because you're not. Or I've been guilty of it before. I've been to a final at Wembley, and the team I've supported has lost, and just out of respect, and I'm not the only person who's done this. You stay and you'd applaud the other team. If you got beaten fair and square on the day, you stick your hands up and say, "All right, fair enough." I've done it. I've done it at football as well, where the other team's simply better, and you applaud them off the pitch because at the end of the day, we're all sports fans, and that's the thing that does get me with darts is we are all fans.
Yeah,
they're all fans of what they're doing. So surely they appreciate good darts. And
I find it funny with darts as well. Like with football, you have your side that you support. With darts, I find it very weird supporting a particular individual.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
I never understand that. Obviously, you have your favourite, but that should,
it's just whoever wins.
You don't really find it with individual sports. Like tennis, you don't have someone who's like, I'm Andy Murray through and through.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have people, you don't have your Andy Murray hooligans.
It's more about, country and individualism, isn't
it?
Yeah. But this is, so for example, people will back Murray even though he's Scottish because he's British. Do you see what I mean? But the thing is, it was in Wolverhampton, right? In England.
Yeah.
Price from Wales, Anderson from Scotland. So there was no reason.
Should be neutral.
There was no reason they should have had, obviously, like you said, other than popularity, that they should have backed Anderson. But it was, the player should never. You just touched on tennis then, actually. I can't think of the name, but he's a really young lad, very impressive tennis player. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He lost to Roger Federer after complaining about a point on the final set and ended up beating him. And when he did his interview, he got booed by the fans because, like you said, Federer's the more popular player.
But I think fans need to just look at it another way and go, hang on a minute, we've just seen someone brilliant at what they do beaten.
Exactly.
That's a massive feat for the other person.
It's just not right. I mean,
that
it's
is
just
the problem with not
that's
just darts. And I think that's unfair to
sport.
Generalise like that because darts off, it's not always like that.
No, it's good fun darts. I'm looking forward to going. I will be going to Ali Pali.
Ali Pali in
the final,
in the new
year. In the new year. So that's something to. Of course, I'll be going, but I'll be guilty of it myself, just like I'm sure you'll be guilty of it yourself. But from like watching it and seeing someone who, for Price, his career's built to that probably. That's the highlight of his career. So to be booed when it's just not
horrible,
nice, is it? It's just not nice,
Especially when it's for Gary Anderson, it's just a little blip, isn't it? He's won so much.
It's like us getting to a podcast award, going to pick up our award and talk sport being booed by someone
massive, like
talk sport. But it's the equivalent. If you are listening to talk sport, that's nothing against you, but I'm sure they know anyway. But yeah, so. But it's just obviously maybe something that needs to be looked at. But you can't ever stop fans doing what they do, and I don't think that's anything we'd ever want to do. Just obviously, we did mention the Nations League earlier on. Sorry, a lot of talk after Virgil van Dijk scored the winner against Germany.
Well, late equaliser,
not winner.
Essentially a winner.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sent them up. Yeah,
they needed the point, and he secured it later on.
Exactly. So, do you think? A big question here is Virgil van Dijk, maybe not even based on form, maybe just as a player, the best centre-back in the world?
He's definitely up there.
He's most expensive one, so
he's definitely up there. I think...
Who's better?
Van Dijk. I think in terms of form, there isn't anyone better right now.
Let's just go in terms of career, though. Let's just take overall.
I'm still a massive admirer of Chiellini.
Okay.
I think he's mastered the art of defending, as have a lot of Italians actually.
Bit old.
Yeah.
Bit old. Van Dijk's younger.
Thiago Silva, although he's sort of in the
defence
league now, and he's also old. He's another one that's brilliant.
Plays for PSG as well. Van Dijk plays in the best league in the world.
Yeah. I just think I think a lot of the time with Van Dijk. It's not just. I hate saying it, but I think the people around him need some credit here.
Yeah, no.
And in terms with Holland, I think it's a different story. But at Liverpool, I think Dejan Lovren actually does also deserve some of the credit. He does.
Gomez is his partner this season.
Yeah, Gomez has been this season, hasn't he? And he's also been excellent, which is good to see from an English perspective. I think that what he does, he probably is the best in the league. I think he just needs to. I'm just reluctant to say he's the best just yet.
But this is the thing, though. I've just said he's better, and you've named two players that are past their prime. Haven't you? I just feel wrong saying he's the best. I just think. But all I'm going to say is, and this is something we will actually touch upon in a minute. If he played for, all right, so let's say West Ham were a top 4 team, your team. If he played for West Ham, is he the best centre half in the world?
I'd still be reluctant. There's something surrounding him. I just feel like I want him. I know it doesn't mean anything, and but it always gets brought into it. I just want him to win something.
Right. Okay. My question. Right. Go back onto that one in a sec. Is he better than Toby Alderweireld?
I don't know. I don't think it's an easy yes.
Do you think he is?
I don't know. I'm a big admirer of Alderweireld, so I actually can't. I don't know if I can. They're definitely very close in terms of levels.
I do know what you mean, and it's hard.
I don't know. I think I've seen Van Dijk make mistakes.
That's how you learn, though. You've seen Messi make mistakes. You've seen Sergio Ramos make mistakes. You've seen Carlos Puyol when he was in his prime. Vidic. Companies made mistakes. Do you see what I mean? I know what you mean, in that it's hard to come out and say he's the best centre half in the world, but I think maybe he hasn't got the credit that he deserved. You've got to remember when the year Liverpool, it wasn't the year it wasn't last year when they lost when they went in the Champions League, because that was a great season. They lost in the final to Sevilla of the Europa League. They were awful defensively. He came in the following January.
Credit where credit's due. Like
he sorted them out.
He has
defensively.
massively changed the Liverpool
But
side.
is he
of
not?
course, they've added other players, but he has massively. I think he's been.
This is my argument, right? And I'm not saying he's the best in the world because I don't know either. I can't.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm also just not saying he is. I can't answer who the best centre back in the world is.
Okay, but my only argument that would probably back it up is when Liverpool, like at the start of last season, they weren't title contenders.
No.
Agreed? They weren't. They were top four.
He is definitely, yeah.
That he came in, I think it was in January.
It was, yeah.
Right? The start of this season, what are they to everyone?
No, title contenders. For some people, they're favourites.
Exactly. So why not? You know? I suppose the only thing, like you said, is he's not yet won a trophy. And Liverpool haven't yet won a trophy, actually, under Jurgen Klopp.
No, they haven't, no.
Which is actually, funnily enough, moving on.
They've had finals as well.
Yeah, something that Robbie Fowler said.
Today, wasn't it?
Today or yesterday, that they need a trophy under Jurgen Klopp. Do you agree? I mean,
I do agree.
I've got one argument about this, and I'm going to start this time.
Yeah.
Right. The thing is, and I've got a lot of respect for Liverpool. I've got a lot of respect for what they're doing, and I've got a lot of respect for Jurgen Klopp. I think he's one of the best managers, if not up there with the best manager in the world. Not even in the Premiership. I think he's one of the best managers in the world.
I think he's my favourite in the Premiership, definitely.
Right. The only thing for me is, so you look at his last, I think it's 8 finals. He's won 1. If you're a Liverpool player and you've been to the Europa League final, the League Cup final, the Champions League final, you look at his Dortmund record, he's been to the Champions League final, he's been in Cup finals, he's been top of the league and not won it. If he's giving you a team talk before you go out for a final, even though they came really close against Madrid, and they did, it was Karius and an unfortunate injury.
Yeah.
What confidence do you have in that manager going into a cup final? Surely that's playing on your mind, isn't it?
That's the thing.
How do you get rid of a stigma like that?
You would be thinking, hang on, he hasn't got a team talk to win a final because
we've seen him before. It's not unlucky to lose it 8 times, is it? That's the thing. To lose 2 Champions League finals, it might be considered, but it's not. That's not unlucky. That's just.
And for him as well, do you think it plays in his mind before?
It must do. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But I
think a lot of the time though, he has played brilliant sides. When you look in the Prem, Man City are probably the best Premier League side I've ever seen.
In the Champions League.
They did beat him in the Champions League. You're right, and in the league actually.
2 legs.
But I think over the span of the season, he just. It was so brilliant. They couldn't have topped him in the league.
No.
Against Real Madrid, that's a side first of all with
Salah injured as well.
5-time Ballon d'Or winner. Salah had an unfortunate injury. There's against a Real Madrid side that have been like prolific in winning titles, especially in
Champions League. Yeah.
When it was the Champions League final with Dortmund, they played. Was it Guardiola's Bayern Munich side who were fantastic? Was it like
Ajax? I think. Yeah.
Even still,
they were still fantastic as well.
I remember that season; they were a fantastic side.
It was Robben's last real season at his peak, wasn't it? I suppose. I know what you're saying, but I mean, the best for me.
What makes a great manager is being able to overcome that. But
for me, and I don't know about for you, right? It's the best chance Klopp's got of winning a trophy to get rid of the stigma, to get the ball rolling at Liverpool. Is it to win the Premiership?
Yeah.
And I think that's not even just a thing for him. Surely that's a bigger goal than the Champions League for Liverpool, considering they haven't won it yet.
Well, I think it's the same. It sort of goes unnoticed, but it's the same with Pochettino at Spurs. He's massively turned that club around. It has gone unnoticed. He's sort of brought Spurs into a golden era, but no one's realised because they haven't won anything. Which it's quite sad actually because. Especially brought in a lot of good players that didn't have much of a sort of like profile before he, you don't. It's a sort of a similar story with Klopp, and you do want them to have something in this period of time to show for it in the future. I feel like you don't really want them. Fans don't want to look back and say. 10, 15 years time and go, remember that few seasons we had that were nice. Yeah, but you do want something physical to have.
It's like the joke with Spurs, isn't it? You don't want to really remember and putting the pressure on, do you?
Exactly.
That's the thing. Right, so we have just obviously, I wouldn't say a dig, but we've obviously just spoke a little bit about Klopp and how he's maybe not done as well as we'd like to. They've not lost this season yet. We're in November.
Yeah.
They're still unbeaten in the league. Obviously, they did lose to Red Star, which was a bit of bit of a shock to them, I think, in the Champions League. But that's teams have
they've
flips.
had bad performances, but they've still gone.
Can they? I mean, this I'm going to ask you this separately for both City and Liverpool, who are the two unbeaten teams. First of all, can Liverpool go unbeaten this season? Can they do an invincible season? Because they've got a good team.
I think they can. I don't see why not. My sort of gut instinct is no. I just have a feeling at some point
it's a big feat, isn't it? That's the thing.
With what you've got in front of you right now, I don't see why not.
No, they drew with Chelsea.
I think it's only a history of
Chelsea unbeaten as well. So can they?
Chelsea are also unbeaten.
They've got no Champions League football.
Yeah, but they've got Europa League, and that is obviously a factor.
Okay.
When that gets into the latter stages, that could affect them. They've been fine so far.
Europa League hangover, famous.
Yeah, but they have had also Chelsea are a side that have had slip ups. They were lucky to. I know it's not the Prem, but they were lucky to beat Derby in the League Cup. They weren't fantastic when they played Man United in the league. Was it? They went to West Ham and weren't able to score. As a side that can leak goals. So I think if of those three, it will be Chelsea that are least likely to go unbeaten.
Okay. And who's the team? Do you think?
For me personally, with Man City, I think
no one's given them credit, have they? But they've
it's
got
funny
better.
because they did so well last year. People are like, it's expected, but they're actually. I think they've been better this year. They've been a more well-rounded side. I think they've been better defensively.
Absolutely, yeah.
They've had
even more lethal going forward if that's possible.
I don't like. There was they brought Riyad Mahrez in, and I thought, what a weird signing. He's not going to play. He's been
fantastic.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I was at the game. I was at the game at Wembley when he scored against Spurs.
He's been fantastic. I think Ederson's been good between the sticks again. He's just maturing more as a Premier League goalkeeper.
Stones growing up, which is good to
Stones
see.
it's so good to see because I remember back when he was at Everton, he used to get slated week in, week out as a young player as well.
Yeah.
I think at the start of it, he was actually still a teenager, 19, getting slated week in, week out for trying to play.
Absolutely.
He's really sort of come into his own. Aymeric Laporte has been brilliant. They've just been a much better side than they have. Well, you couldn't have been much better than
100 points.
Yeah, but I think they have been performing a lot better.
I mean, I think we just need to put our hands up here. The last point we're going to make is we are obviously running out of time.
Yeah.
But do we put our hands up? I mean, we're in November now. 3 teams are unbeaten. The title race is well and truly on. Is this one of the best so far? One of the best Premier League seasons you've seen?
I think so. Yeah, because
it's a bit of a dynamic, isn't there?
It's no one's because you've got those 3 teams unbeaten. And you've still got Arsenal performing really well. Obviously, Spurs.
You can't write Spurs off. Yeah, exactly.
You cannot write Spurs off.
And you never know what United are going to do either, do you?
Yeah, I mean,
8th in the league, I know, but
they could still. It's Man United, so you
exactly.
don't know. It has been much better because last year, I think by the time it was November, I think everyone was going, Man City have done it. So it's
certainly be interesting.
Yeah,
it'll certainly be interesting. Let us know who you think, if any of those 3 are going to go unbeaten, though. Please let us know your thoughts on the Super League, Scudamore, what Robbie Fowler said, Van Dijk, the darts. Let us know what you think of everything. Anything you want us to talk about next week, just pop in the comments.
We will be back next week.
We will.
For every week thereafter.
Just drop us a tweet. Let us know what you want to talk about. Give us your opinions. We want to hear them, and we'll try and get back to you. But a massive thank you from me anyway. I really enjoyed being back.
Yeah, I loved it. I really missed being
absolutely
set up. So
apologies for the mic drop.
Yeah,
but
that goes unnoticed in the grand scheme of things. I hope our content's good enough to make that forgotten about.
Absolutely. But thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.